Good afternoon, Miss Wilson. Today is a big day. We've got some celebrations. Tell everybody what's happening today.
Today is my retirement party. Having been working at first Edge Hill and then Kingsley, this was the end of my 33rd year. So that's quite a long time. And I'm actually in the classroom I started in. So when I first began teaching, I was, a thin, young slip of a girl of 22. And I started teaching year 2 in this particular classroom. After 10 years, I moved up and did years 5 and 6. And then I've come back down again, and now I'm doing year 4, but back in the same classroom.
How nice.
So it's kind of like a nice circle.
Yeah. Let's go right back to the beginning.
Okay.
Tell everybody where you grew up.
I grew up in Sussex and Surrey. Up until I was about, let me think, it's 12. My dad worked at Christ's Hospital, which is a blue coat school in West Sussex, not far from Horsham. And he was a live-in housemaster. So we lived in a very large house at the end of his boarding house with all the boys.
Yeah.
Then when I was 12, he became the headmaster of a small boarding school in the Surrey Hills called the Duke of Kent School, which was the RAF Benevolent Fund School. So it was quite a lot full of children from the forces.
Okay.
We lived in. He retired when I was about 19, and by that stage I'd already decided that I was going to become a teacher.
So you had schools running through you from a very young age.
It's a very, very young age because my aunt was a teacher. Obviously Dad was a headmaster and a maths teacher. My mum was a special needs teacher, although she also did teach divinity when she first started. My grandmother was a teacher, my great-grandmother was a teacher, and my grandfather was a headmaster and a teacher.
So there was no escaping, was there?
There was no escaping. It was almost, I didn't think of doing anything else. Apart from being a fighter pilot, I would have liked to have flown planes and helicopters, but I found out that because I'm too short, I couldn't reach the pedals, and also I was asthmatic, and they weren't going to take me. So I let my older brother do that, and he flies helicopters.
So teacher it was?
It was a teacher.
So where did you go to uni, and what was your path into teaching?
I went to King's College, London University. I didn't actually do teaching there, I read history, because history is and always will be my first love. So the chance to have 3 years in London with access to all those wonderful libraries and all those wonderful history books, I thought, no, I'm not going to do anything else, I should do history. I got a very good degree in actual fact, a 2-1. So I then went to America, did Camp America for a few months, which was great fun, and then trekked my way across from Orlando to San Francisco, where my uncle and aunt live. And then I did a PGCE, so I went and did a year of learning how to teach primary. Then I applied for every single job I could get hold of, and I had one on the Monday, one on the Tuesday, a job interview, one on the Monday, one on the Tuesday, one on the Wednesday, one on the Thursday, and one on the Friday. Edge Hill down here was the Friday one. And I came along, I met the then headmistress, Mrs. Burton, and I don't remember much about the interview, to be honest, except for the fact that she said, what denomination are you? And I can remember saying, I'm not any religious denomination, but I'll teach whatever you want me to teach. So that seemed to go down well, and she felt that it would be good to have a person with a degree in her prep school. And so she gave me the job. And I started out here in this classroom with a reasonably small year 2 class.
So what was Edge Hill like when it was here on site where Kingsley is now?
It was, well, it's hard to say. I won't say it was smaller because we had a very large boarding cohort at that point, a very large junior boarding cohort. It gradually got smaller and smaller until the junior boarders disappeared. But I spent my first year living in the junior boarding house as a sort of, doing what boarding people do today. I then went on and did the next year in the sixth form boarding house. So I had great fun getting them up at 7 o'clock in the morning and then banging on the door and then coming back and banging a second time because they hadn't woken up the first time. We had boys, but only in the prep school at that stage. The senior school was just girls only. And most of the boys who had sisters who were going to the senior school, when they left our prep school, they would go to Shabir, which was all boys at the time. So we were brother and sister school, and they would come over to us, we would go over to them, we'd have evening meals and things together. So it was much more of what you regard as a boarding atmosphere, more a bit like Harry Potter, really. And then I suspect it is now. It's a little bit more modern now, I think. We eventually began to take boys, and they eventually crept into the senior school.
A good addition.
A very good addition. Oh, yeah. I mean, I couldn't work out why on earth there weren't boys in the senior school anyway, because it just seemed natural that our boys who had gone through the prep school would go over into the senior school. And it took a while for the staffing to change, though. It was interesting when the male PE teachers came in, and what had been a largely female staff room sort of acquired a few male members of staff. And that was interesting and different, because we were so used to having female members of staff.
And then obviously 2009, Kingsley School emerged. And how was that?
That was a little bit of trepidation, because we didn't know whether it was all going to gel. It took a while for us all, for those coming from Grenville and us staying who were in Kingsley, to actually sort of find that gel, but it worked. Apparently, I only know this because many of the staff who came over from Grenville are now they've all retired, but they're my ladies what dine group. So regularly, once a month, we all get together and have a good old natter. But apparently I had a fearsome reputation.
Oh, did you?
I don't know where this came from, but they apparently were a little bit nervous about me. I obviously knew one of them, Mrs. Minhinnett, because I taught Mrs. Minhinnett's daughters when they were at Edge Hill.
Lovely Mrs. Minhinnett.
Oh, yes, the wonderful Mrs. Minhinnett, and I still see her on a very regular basis. She's absolutely adorable. So I knew her, and she, I think, was telling them, oh, it's all right, Ray's fine. You're all right, Ray. But
she's not so fierce after all.
Exactly. I don't know where this fearsome or sort of, I think the impression was sort of like in control and in command and sort of thing, which, I mean, at that point I had been doing sort of middle management roles. I've been acting head of the prep school on 3 different occasions, one for a term, one for 2 terms, one for a whole year. So I have done that leadership role, and I've been curriculum coordinator for many years and so on. I'm sort of, having been here for 33 odd years, I'm sort of the person, the go-to person. You'll know.
Yes.
Ray will know.
Yes.
So
and Ray always does know.
Yeah, Ray does tend to know. Yes. Yes, there was a fierce argument about the symbols on our logo here, because which part came from which school, and so it was interesting. And of course I was standing by the fact that I know the ship has come from Edge Hill, but the rose is also Edge Hill, because I can remember prize days at Edge Hill where every child had to have a rose on their lapel. Lovely. And a real rose.
Yes, very nice.
So pinning them back on to 6-year-olds who'd pulled them off during prize day was always great fun. Leave your rose alone. Don't fiddle with it.
So you've got so many lovely memories from your time.
I've got wonderful memories. I mean, people have often said to me, why stay at the same school for 30 years? But I feel this school has changed so many times. I mean, with all we have had trauma here. We have had some major trauma, 2 fires and the sad loss of Charlotte on 10 tours training. But I taught Charlotte when she was that high, when she was 7, and she was a marvellous young lady. So we've had those traumas. We've had near merges, proposed merges, and merges that didn't happen. Proposed moves. At one point we were going to move out to Portledge, I think it's called. So
you've seen it all.
I've seen it all. I feel as though I've been at very many different schools without actually moving.
Yes.
And
yes.
so many different headmasters and headmistresses that it's like being at many, many different schools. But at the same time, it's been that lovely, warm feeling. I mean, people often say, this school is a family, especially in the prep school. It is a family, and it is a family. and you get that feel. And you get that feel from the staff and from the children. And I mean, I've never really felt sad that I haven't got my own children, because I've always had a class that I can throw a hug around.
And have you tallied up how many children you've actually helped and taught?
I haven't.
Must be a big number.
It's an awful lot. Because at one period we were having very large groups for maths and English, so I had 22 in a maths group. So it's, I mean, I'd say somewhere about 100 a year. So that's quite a lot.
That's a lot.
It's still wonderful that quite a lot of them have gone through the senior school. So when I've been walking around the senior school, I've seen them. Hello, Miss Wilson. Hello, hello. and I say to them, I reserve the right to embarrass you. Because if it's somebody I don't know, I said, I remember when this young person was this high. So, and I still meet them out in the local area. I mean, this voice was singing, hello, Miss Wilson. And I'm thinking, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Twice the height that you remember them
exactly,
when they're in your class.
Have you ever stopped growing, sort of thing? It's
so many memories. And what are you going to miss when you do come to retire at the end of term?
Oh, don't.
Is that a difficult, sad question to ask?
It's a sad question. I'm going to miss the children. The constant banter. I'm going to miss. Oh dear, I promised myself I wouldn't do this.
Come on, where's fierce Miss Wilson now?
Yes, I'm going to miss the constant chitter-chatter of their lives, and I did this and I did that. Who's the best footballer and why don't you like this and that sort of thing. I'm going to miss playing board games with them, doing the play.
Yes.
I shall miss letting forth across the stage, thou shalt not do that, speak up. I shall miss the lessons when you suddenly see the spark go off in somebody's head that they've got it. The challenge of finding when somebody hasn't got something, I've got to think of a different way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I am going to be tutoring, so I'm hoping to pick up people to tutor. So I will still have those same problems.
Yes.
And I'll still have contact with young people, but I shall miss.
You'll still have lots of touch points.
Yes, and as I keep saying in my class, one of my lads said to me, where are you going to be? Where's your favourite place to be? Why? Well, he said, so that if you tell me my favourite place to be and when you're going to be there, I can arrange to be there too, and I can see you. Yeah, exactly.
Adorable.
I very nearly let fly. I mean, collapsed at that point.
Yes.
So I shall miss them.
Yes.
I shall miss them.
Well, you will,
and the staff.
You will be greatly missed. I mean, as you said, Kingsley is a family, and you are in that family, and that never changes, whether you're working here or not working here. So that continues forever. And the school, is so grateful for the 33 years that you've given of your life to all those thousands and thousands of children who you've made a huge impact on. And yes, good job you never became a fighter pilot.
Yes.
And obviously when you retire, you're obviously going to be doing some tutoring, but it also gives you time to do other things. Have you worked out what other things you might want to do?
Well, I do like art, painting and things, so I might paint. I've got work to do in my garden. I hope to be able to walk my dogs a bit more, which would be nice because they're great fun. So I'll have the time to do that. Obviously, I shall be going on holiday because I still love Scotland and I will go to Scotland, but I shall do it outside of school hours so that A, it will be slightly cheaper, and B, I won't be thinking so much about these guys. I'll be thinking about my holiday. I won't be missing the beginning of term. So I'm hoping, I'm toying with the idea of getting a little camper van so that I can disappear off at odd moments and just disappear for a week or something, and take the dogs and go and do some bird watching. I mean, that's the sort of, and I also like to write, so I may well sit down and write.
There'll be another play that we'll be doing.
Yes, I may write
written by Miss Wilson.
That's wandered through my mind actually, but I'm hoping also to do things like I'm thinking of trying to do some marking for SATs and things like that, and other things related to teaching. I mean, I have an O-level in English, I have an O-level in maths, I have an A-level in maths, I have an A-level in English. So I might be able to help some adults who may have struggled with their O-levels and A-levels. So I'm looking at that into that as well.
So as the Kingsley chapter closes, other new exciting chapters emerge,
So, yeah.
Which is brilliant. And obviously, you know, we're only in June. We've got all the way through to the end of term, and obviously
Yes.
the end of terms in a at Kingsley Prep School are fun, filled with lots of excitement. And obviously this afternoon, we've got one of those events. Do you know what's happening, or is it a top secret?
No, I have no idea what's happening. I know that I was asked to find pictures of myself during those 30 years, and I am notoriously camera shy, so I'm very good at avoiding the camera, so it was actually quite difficult to find, but I did find a fair few, one sort of family, but of the period when I was teaching, and a very few that are school related, including the infamous picture of me sitting on Santa's knee. I toyed with hiding that one away, but I did find it when I've been changing one of my rooms in the house into a tutoring room. So as I was clearing everything out, I found
all these lovely photographs.
Photos. So that one I think is going to. I know that there's going to be some kind of a PowerPoint. So there'll be those, but I must confess that Miss Jones and Miss Barker and I had a little bit of fun in Mr. Trifle's office. So we'll see when he was on the bike ride last week. So there may be some bits that will make the children laugh.
So a hijinks afternoon ahead.
Yes. When the cat's away, the mice will definitely play.
Quite right, and why not? Well, you taught my children, and they've got very fond memories of you. And I know I speak on behalf of all the families whose children you've looked after and cared for and taught. So an enormous thank you, and wishing you the very best as life emerges into a new world for you. And I'm sure you'll be popping back at all the plays and all of the events. And,
yes, I shall be back for Christingle and back for the plays and things.
Yeah,
definitely.
So all the very best, and an enormous thank you from everyone at Kingsley.